talking about import in Python, right, which is a very powerful statement where you can actually call different functions which are existing in a different program file or in a module, or it can be in a library. So you can use that functionality which is available in a different module, that you can use it by calling that using import into your program. Let's think about that one simple thing. When you are working in a company, right, there will be already a lot of modules developed by different developers inside your company, or your colleagues are developed, right. That modules, it contains a lot of functions or functionalities. For example, if I take a very simple example of RAID, if you are already aware of, right, in the RAID there are so many functionalities like create, delete, right, for any of that, any particular application, right. If there is some functionalities like create, delete, or modify, or any sort of functionalities, not only limited to that, right. These functionalities which once developed and it is written in a module as functions, right, you can call those functions in your program. For that you are going to use the import statement. So you will be saying import space and give that module name. Then that module functionalities will be available inside your program, so that you need not to rewrite the code which is already developed by some other developers. You can just use it. Similar way, Python is a programming language which is actually have so many built-in libraries, so many functionalities, and even there are communities where the people, the experts, develop a lot of functionalities that you can actually import into your program by not reinventing the wheel again, right. This is the very important way of using or writing your programs much efficiently, right. So let's try to see how you can actually do that thing with a simple understanding. Like, let me tell you once again. You have you are developing your file, I mean your Python program or application. You are developing it. In that you want to actually use some existing module, right. That module is maybe developed by somebody, right, maybe inside your company or somebody outside, right. Some modules maybe you need to import and install in your machine, right. Let's see here in your program. This is your program. Let's say p3.py. Let's say this is your program. In that you want to use the functionality which was developed and available in another module, let's say, right. If this module is having this so and so functionality and very complex functionality it could be, right. This functionality you want to actually use it into your program or your application. Just you need to do import. You write in your program import, right, and the module name. That's all. This module functionalities, all the functionalities are actually available for you to use it. Let's try that, how actually we can use it in our program, and let's try that. We'll see how it goes, right. Let's say I have already a module. Let's say I'll just list it here, ls. My module name is mx.py, which is already created here, right. So now let's go ahead and create one file called p3.py, where I am going to use this existing functionality, right. Let's say that insert, right. I'm writing that program here, import the statement which I want to get the functionalities from my file, right, or my module mx. Then from there I want to use a function called say hello. This is a function which is written inside of that, right. That's all. I'm just calling that function. Let's see how it works, right. So let's say python 3 and say p3.py. Okay, it is saying say hello is not defined, error. Okay, so why it is? Let's see why it is. Let's see. So this is also important. So the way you are calling it, it's not just you call that way, right? Let's say you are saying mx, imported mx, but you are just calling a function, right? That function belongs to mx, right? So that is where you should use mx dot. Now you are saying this function actually coming from mx dot, right? So mx is a module. From this module you are calling this function. So I am intentionally showed you that, right? So you try to understand. Now let's execute it so that you don't hit this kind of issues anymore. So when you are trying to call a function which is not inside your program, this way you should be using it, that module name dot the function name, right? Then let's see here, Python 3 and program p3.py. Can you see? Hi, how are you? That function is having some statement which is hi, how are you, right? So we got that. And a little different ways of using the same. Let's try that a different way. If I want to import, right, maybe mx might have 10 different functions, right? But I don't want all the functions. I just want to import a function called only say hello. If I want to do that, only importing that, right, you can use a little different way. From mx import the function name. Let's say underscore hello. Now I am just importing only say hello. Maybe that mx module or the library is having tens of different functions, but I am just importing say hello, right? So now let's do this way. Let's see if any error gets up, right? Then we can actually resolve it. So hitting error and resolving is most important thing in Python. To do that again, right? It is saying, right, again it is saying invalid syntax. Let's go ahead and check it. Right, first thing I want to actually remove this part. Right, just function name, done, Python 3 p3.py, right, done. So here when you are actually calling that function with only, right, so let me put this here little up. So let me once again make it very clear, right? See here, so when you are importing with the function name only that single function, right, here also you don't need to mention that calling from there, because you just said this is the function, just I am getting it, right? So it is coming from here, so there is no confusion here, right? So if you got this, that is one method. So let's modify this. Aliasing it is called, where you can actually give a different name to the same function. Import, right, say hello, you can say as sh, for example. If you are saying, then you don't need to, just I comment this, let's see, then I'll write one more line telling that I'll be calling sh bracket. Right, now let's say Python 3 and p3.py, right? Understand this, right? If you got this much, right, this is where you can put multiple functions. Even if you have 10 functions inside, right, you want to call them, you can actually use this. Multiple functions calling is something like, if you want to do that, right, you can say comma. If you have one more thing, right, say hi, for example. If you have this function there, you can do that, and you can call multiple functions, you can use them. If that function exists here, let's see, say hi, and if it is not there, for example, you will get the error, then you will resolve it, right? We'll see how to do that. Either Python 3, Python 3, then p3.py. So you can see here, right? So let me go back to our mx module, right? So this is the mx module which I wrote something like this. So I defined two functions here, right? and I'm calling these functions, right, from a different program. So this much gives you a understanding how to use any function available. If you know that function, right, the function name, you can use that here, right? Or if you want to check what are the function, right, like we can add that little later. Let me stop here.